Good morning, everyone. Just a reminder, we have, my name is Joshua with the Office of Finance and Operation Division of District Support. Along with me, I have Brad Kennedy, Lauren Lohman, Samantha Engstrom, and of course, Brad Kennedy will help me through this presentation. Go ahead. Original amended calendars, just a reminder, all calendars must be submitted through the KDE web app prior to June 30th, according with the 702 KAR 7125. All calendars must be submitted through the web application, and that link has been provided for you here on the screen. If you have issues with accessing the web app, you need to reach out to your WAPOC, and you can see the link there to see who your district WAPOC is. The 21-22 original calendars can be submitted to us here at KDE starting tomorrow, April 15th. And then your 2021 amended calendars can be submitted to us after May 15th, but make sure it's after the last day of school term. And if you have more information, we have the link to our KDE calendar school page there. Some common errors that we see coming through and working with, and especially this year, with the craziness of the pandemic, the school months is your gaps. Make sure that there's no gaps in between any of your days. Just a reminder that 20 days should be in each month, excluding the 10th month. And then just a reminder, days in the calendar cannot have more than one day event. Working with some districts, actually this week, I have caught some that have more than one day, so that's going to kick out as an error. So go ahead and start running your error reports, and that report can be found under Kentucky State Reporting, Edit Reports, and then Calendar Edit Reports. This year, we still have some districts who are deciding which should they choose traditional calendars or variable instructional calendars. Just a reminder that each calendar must, for the traditional calendars, each calendar must consist of 1,062 hours and 170 instructional days. And then with the variable calendar, you're only required to have a minimum of 1,062 hours. Original calendars should include makeup days equal to the maximum number of weather days between the 2015-16 school year through the 19-2020 school year. And just a reminder that KDE staff checks this information mainly during the original calendar process. Unused makeup days should be removed from the calendar before submitting your amended calendar as well. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. NTI days. Just a reminder, House Bill 208 stops unlimited NTI days as of March 29th, and that only allows you 5 days of additional NTI days. NTI days that are part of the hybrid schedule already in place do not count towards the 5 NTI days that's coded after March 29th. And then after March 29th, if you use more than 5 NTI days, they must be approved by the Commissioner of Education. And then this is just a screenshot of how it should be set up on your days tab. If you're using the hybrid schedule, the only thing that you will do now is just make sure on the day's event that the NTI day is not marked. Still have school day, instruction, and attendance should be still checked. And then all your blended learning groups should be listed as well. Next slide. Non-hybrid NTI days that are marked after March 29th, you will still enter your school day, instruction, and attendance. And then the day event should be in non-traditional instruction. And then we're asking all districts, if you're using an NTI day in the comment box, to enter NTI, the day, the number of day, and then the reason: health, safety, etc. Cleanup reminders, QCE and QCP attendance groups. We're finding that we still have currently 2,300 students who do not have a end date that are still open. So please make sure you during your end of year cleanup that you run that report, and that report is student COVID-19 attendance group report, and that can be found under Kentucky State Reporting, KDE reports, and then student COVID-19 attendance group. Excuse me. Summer school calendars. This year with the pandemic, we're seeing a lot of districts who are offering summer school. A summer school will need to be created to track the enrollments. We're asking that the calendar name begin with the SUM so that we can pull the data for you all. Districts who choose not to create a summer school calendar, then your district should be prepared to answer any questions about the number of days that the school was in session for summer school, and then how many students were enrolled. And just a reminder, if that data is not in KDE's Infinite Campus, that we will not be able to pull any data for you all, and those questions will be coming to you. Student participation report. Reminder, the report has been updated to provide additional data help with the NAEP survey and other reporting. This includes student participation by learning model, which is hybrid, in-person, or remote. It includes additional aggregate detail, student level, student participation, and aggregate level. Just a reminder that participation reports that are published on the KDE website will not change to include this new data. Student participation report, chronic absenteeism. Chronic absenteeism will not be reported for the 2021 school year using the Kentucky definition, since full day attendance was not required. Schools were required to show at least one instance of participation and not attendance. Federal requirements still exist to publish chronic absenteeism data for the 2021 school year. KDE will use the participation report to create an chronic absenteeism data for the schools and districts. Students with 10% or more enrolled days with no daily participation will be considered as chronically absent, and this data will be posted on the KDE website with the participation reports at the end of the school. DASCR Protocols. Just a reminder, when creating, adding a new school, updating an existing school, or closure, the process must be done through DASCR. For school closures, they must be submitted during the year as effective date 6/30/21. New schools will be effective as 7/1/21 unless otherwise noted. DASCR demographic data cleanup and annual verification is required by August 31st, and that link has been provided for you. And then Ronnie Bennett in our office, in the Office of Finance and Operation, he will be your contact for any questions. Virtual schools for next year. We had some districts who have reached out to us asking how to get started. Prior to starting a new virtual school, we ask that you reach out to either Ben Maynard or Marty Park. Their email has been provided for you there. Creation of virtual school should not be just for the 21-22 school year. If you're considering doing this, you should only create a school if your district plans to continue the virtual option. And then just a reminder, using the student locator, we ask that you always start with the student locator when enrolling in any new students. The last name, first name, and gender or SSID must be entered in order to activate the search button. The birthday is not required, but it will help to eliminate a creation of a duplicate student. Samantha Engstrom can be reached if you have any questions. She can help you there, and her email or the email address we ask you that you send that to is attendance@education.ky.gov. And then she's also listed some helpful tips that could help you when searching for students. And I think that's all on my slide deck. I will turn it over to Brad Kennedy for some SAAR updates.
Thank you, Josh. Good morning, everyone. As Josh said, my name is Brad Kennedy. I'm with the Division of District Support in the Office of Finance and Operations. I'm going to give you a little bit of information regarding SAAR this year and some important information regarding data cleanup that you would need to do any year. So the first thing is, as you all know, SAAR growth factor and January growth factor have all been suspended for this 2020-2021 school year. Just to reiterate, districts do not need to process a 2021 SAAR report. Funding will revert back to the last time that SAAR was submitted. That will be 18-19 for most districts and 19-20 for the dozen or so who elected to submit during the 1920 school year. It's also important to note it is unknown how attendance reporting, including growth factor and SAAR, will operate going forward. Transportation funding will operate the same way. You will get your 18-19 funding unless you are one of those dozen or so who did do SAAR for 1920. You'll still want to have T codes listed for every student in Infinite Campus. With SAAR being suspended for this school year, the most important note of my portion is that data cleanup is still required, as that data will be pulled for federal reporting and also for school report card. And you can see we've got my information there on the bottom of the screen, and it'll be listed again at the end of the district support presentation. So in front of you now, you've got a full list of the reports needed for data cleanup. All of this is still available in the most recent SAAR guidance document, which on our website now, it's the 18-19 version. So you've got the state enrollment overlap report, your ethnicity record, missing enrollment in status, kindergarten full day or half day indicator, student schedule gap, period schedule gaps that include passing time, overlapping T codes or missing T codes, non-resident students, non-contract students, overage and underage, suspension and expulsion, partial day students, as well as home hospital students for data cleanup. I'm going to hit a couple of the more common errors just to give you a refresher and ensure that we've got the data cleaned up to roll forward to the next year. So one of them would be record 7 aggregate days and attendance and absences. You can see we're talking about the state enrollment overlap. The path for that is listed there in front of you. This will show you anytime you've got a student who is enrolled in multiple districts. With regards to SAAR, we can't process it if there is a primary overlap greater than 1 day. So a student can have a primary and secondary enrollment. That's not an issue. The only issue is going to be when there is a primary overlap that is greater than 1 day. If we were doing SAAR this year and that was discovered upon your submission, it would be sent back to you and to be corrected before we could process. You'll want to run records 2 and 3 of SAAR. You can select the extract format of PDF, all calendars, date range should be blank. And the easy way to think about it is your record 2 minus your record 3 should equal your record 5. So enrollment plus re-enrollment, subtract away the withdrawals, and that should give you your record 5, which is your ethnic count. Those numbers should all match. In the event that you have an issue, you can run this missing enrollment in status report. Again, the path there in blue. This will identify a student who has an enrollment with an end date, but no associated end status. And of course, you would want to add an end status to that enrollment. We are now tracking kindergarten, so be sure to mark full, half, or both, depending on what is happening actually in the building. The appropriate kindergarten code should be selected from the drop-down menu. You can see there highlighted with the red arrow, whether it's full and half day, full day, or half day kindergarten. You want to make sure you don't have any overlapping T codes. You can run this ad hoc to ensure that you don't. This will identify any students with an overlapping transportation code. Of course, that will need to be corrected, as a student can only have one transportation code. The ad hoc in front of you there will show you any students with a missing end date. So if they move to a different district or whatever the case may be, and they weren't properly end dated, this ad hoc in front of you there through state published student audit end date T code will help you find those. Missing T codes will be the ad hoc report you see in front of you. This will ensure that all students have a T code associated with their school enrollment records. You'll want to run the missing T code filter for each school, assign a transportation code, and enter a date segment for the students. Cleanup of T codes will ensure that correct data is rolled forward to the next year. And that is it for SAAR. Again, there is no SAAR required for the 2020 school year, 2021, excuse me, 2020 to 2021 school year, but that data cleanup will be important for a myriad of reasons to ensure that you're in the right place going forward. And at this time, I will pass it to Laura Lohman with an at-risk update.
As Laura gets going, I'm going to just remind folks that if you have questions for Josh or Brad or any other presenters today, go to the app.gosoapbox.com, and the code is KDE data to access that site and to ask a question. So far, we don't have any.
Okay. So I'm Laura Lohman. I'm a resource management analyst with the Office of Finance and Operations, and I'm going to be just giving a quick update on SEEK at-risk and FRAM. Districts will not need to verify at-risk data this year. We're going to be using the 1819 data for your funding calculation, or 1920 if you are one of the districts that chose that last year. You'll still need to proceed with cleanup for data purposes, and data will still be pulled from IC at the end of the year for school report card reporting. So moving on to FRAM, same thing with that. We're going to be using the 1819 HIF data for funding purposes, and for other reporting purposes, HIF should still be processed through the FRAM module in IC, and you'll still want to continue to upload the direct certification files monthly. If you're a full CEP district HIFs can be completed electronically through FRAM processing, and this is something that will require a support ticket with campus to set up. So this is only for full CEP districts. If you're a partial CEP district, you do have a couple options. The first option is to create an OLR form that mimics your current form with an electronic signature. And then your second option is going to be to create a custom form in campus that you can send to all parents through the parent portal, where they can sign it electronically. And then your third option there is to create an OLR page that links where parents can upload it themselves. And I have a guidance document that'll be coming to the CEP webpage that kind of goes into more detail about all these options. So if you're partial CEP and you're curious about that, you can reach out to me, but I'll be posting that next week. And you'll just want to make sure that you're still processing your HIF forms, NIC. Make sure that you're using that path, the FRAM household applications. And then just keep in mind that those forms do need to be retained for 10 years. So if you don't have room electronically and that's the way that you've been collecting those, then you'll want to make sure that you're printing those off. And this is the link where the additional guidance will be. That CEP webpage also has information on how to process forms and like full PowerPoints that will walk you through that. And my contact information is below. And that's all for me. I'm going to pass it over to Samantha Engstrom for a student health update.
Hello, can you hear me?
Now I can hear you. Sounds good.
Yeah, sorry about that. I was just talking to myself. Okay. Okay, so my name is Samantha Engstrom, and I work with the Division of District Support. And I just have a few things to tell you about health this year. We're recommending that people don't do mass screenings for obvious reasons. We realize that the data is going to show is incomplete, but we're not going to, there's not going to be any sort of penalty for that. If you have any questions about your screenings or what you're expected to do, if you do have people that have exams or screenings, you can contact me. We also have the school nurse counts report that we're asking people to pull. The point for this is the initiative to have a school nurse in every building. And this report will pull out the data that you've got in there, and it's going to show you if you've got, we don't know if what you have in the system is correct. So if we pull out the data and we report that you have 2 nurses in your district and you actually have 5, we just need the accurate data to help us push through this initiative. So if you go to Kentucky State Reporting, KDE Reports, nurse counts, you're going to be able to pull that. And if you see that your numbers are wrong and you have expectations of certain numbers, please contact me and let me know. That way we can try to see if it's something with the report that's not pulling the way it's supposed to, or if you have a nurse that's not correctly coded in the system. But contact me if you have any questions regarding the school nurse count. It's not required for you to pull that. That's something that we are going to report for you. So you do want it to be accurate, but it's not required. So we've got the contact information for Rhonda, Josh, Brad, and Laura, and we've got our field staff. And any of these people will be happy to help you with any question. If you don't know who to contact regarding a certain issue, just contact anybody and we can push you forward to the correct person.
Thank you. We do have some questions. So let's go back one slide if you don't mind, Samantha. I think you've still got with the contact information.
Yep.
So first question is for Brad, and there's some interest in this, Brad. When is all the data cleanup due by? It's due for you, by the way.
So in a normal year, SAAR would be due June 30th, so it would be due prior to that. Rhonda, are you on here? Would that still apply?
Yes, definitely. That's correct.
Okay.
And keep in mind that this data is still used for school report card reporting. So some of those data quality reports like membership, free and reduced lunch, things like that can also be looked at too, because this data will be loaded in the school report card. And that will open up to districts in early August to start reviewing that data. So the cleaner your data is, the less work you have at that point. Another question is, do we have to wait until July 1st to collect household income information from parents for the upcoming school year?
No, they can do that prior to July 1.
Would they collect the information but not enter it, or go ahead and enter it?
Yeah, I would recommend waiting to enter it, but they can go ahead and collect it.
Great. Okay, we got one more question for those first ones, and we got nurse questions. So this one's for Josh. We usually print ADM, ADA reports and register reports for filing at the end of the year. What do you recommend we file for the end of this year?
So for this year, we're recommending that you're going to print out your student participation report, detail, and aggregate report, so you can have that on file.
All right. Josh, do you know what information the LRC will request from school summer programs? Probably every. If it's anything like they're asking for us.
I was gonna say, if it's anything that they've been asking the last few weeks, it could be a number of things. We do not know what they're going to be asking right now. The main thing that we're worried about is the number of days that you're having summer school and the number of students that are going to be enrolled. As far as how much you want to put in, that's up to the district. I have some districts who are going to be taking attendance, districts who are going to be entering course and sections, just like the normal school year. They're entering all that information.
Okay, while you're there, do summer school calendars have to be board approved?
No, ma'am.
Okay. That's all. We've got a couple nurse questions, so I'll switch over to the nurse questions next. You can still add questions if you have any additional questions. We have one nurse and one that comes in 5 to 10 hours a week, but the report says we have 2. Our full-time nurse wants to know if there's any way to let you know that the count is not 2 full-time nurses.
You can contact me regarding that, and we can pull it and see how it's showing and everything. Just contact me.
Okay, and that was Samantha. The school nurse count, does that apply to contracted nurses as well as just district employed nurses?
I believe it's for all. It is all, yes.
All right. Give a couple more. That's all the questions I have right now, but let's go ahead and hold out to see if another couple come in before we transition over. I'm not sure. I don't have it up. I should have it up, but I don't have it up for what our next time session starts. So. Let's see. All right. I'm not seeing any additional questions, so I think we're good. And we're just about on time. We got a couple minutes and the dual credit presentation will start. So anything else that you'd like to just add as we have just 2 minutes left? Any of you? I will encourage you, nobody else will, I'll encourage you to look at the student participation report. The changes that went in last week took that data and disaggregated it further so that you have for the student report, you have student participation for every student, and it's broken down by in-person, remote, and hybrid. And then when you aggregate that data, you'll be able to see it by race, ethnicity, the participation by race, ethnicities, as well as other student groups. So that information is something you might want to make sure that the right people can pull the data, or you're sharing the data with the appropriate folks in your offices, school and district level.
Hey, Dee Dee, real fast. Rhonda had sent out the summer school guidance calendar document. So if you have any questions, they can reach out to me on that as well.
Okay. We do have one more question, and two, and I can answer the first one. The QA will be posted for future reference, but the other question that came is, how do we enroll students into the new summer school calendars?
That is going to be up to the district on how they want to handle that. If you're not enrolling the whole entire school district, that will be one by one case. Little Johnny comes in on May 15th, and then Susie comes in on May 15th. You have to actually do those one by one.
Okay, great. Thank you.